Ah, Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. This is Nathan Daly. I am your law enforcement translator here to give you guys insight, in-depth look at all things law enforcement. Listen, to all my new subscribers, welcome to my channel. I am honored to have you. If you are new, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can find out when I'm dropping the next video. And if you find this video valuable, please, I ask if you hit the like button. All right. So anyways, let's get into it, right? We are really covering this Ahmaud Arbery trial. If you guys haven't caught my first video in reference to the jury selection, I was just as shocked as everyone else, right? So this video in particular will be about my thoughts on the jury selection, and I might have an interesting perspective that I think you guys will be interested in. So let's discuss it. First and foremost, right? Now, let me preference with this. I'm not an attorney, you guys. My experience with the court system is me acting as in working with the prosecution, right? I'm acting as a witness, as an officer who has made arrests and witnessed crimes and things of that nature. I'm on the stand testifying, okay, in my own cases. So this is my extent, right? I've been a witness in jury trials as well. Okay, I've sat in courts on plenty of other cases as well. So I have a very unique position in this. But just like all of you guys, I'm a spectator now. Okay, this is getting outside of my wheelhouse. So I am learning new things as I'm also following this trial with Ahmaud Arbery. So we are going to be exposing some things and learning some things together. So with that being said, what happened? Why do we have 11 white jurors and 1 black juror for this? It does seem unacceptable. It does seem unfair, and it doesn't seem equitable, right? And I think a lot of people are upset for obvious reasons with the climate in this country as we know it to be extremely racially sensitive. I think that this move was not a good start, okay? And it does not put the confidence and the trust back in the people. Everyone who has taken an oath, right? We are all public servants. And so this doesn't look like we're doing a good service to the public. Now, with that being said, we also have to look at what the reality is. The reality is the Sixth Amendment is at play here. What is the Sixth Amendment? I'm going to read it verbatim because I don't want to get it wrong, because y'all are quick to correct somebody. Here's the Sixth Amendment. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial, right? By an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed. It's 2. It's very important, that piece. Which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witness in his favor, and have an assistant of counsel for his defense. So what are we going to focus on here? We are going to focus on the part about the impartial jury. All right. This is key. We have a right to a speedy public trial by an impartial jury that makes up the community in which the crime occurred. Okay. So why is that important? This speaks to the type of jury that needs to be present for the Sixth Amendment, right? So why is this an issue? So the question is this jury truly impartial? Well, how do we determine that, right? Impartial, meaning that what is the makeup of the jury? All right. Should race be a factor? Should gender be a factor, right? These things, we're looking at the community at which the crime occurred. Is this an impartial jury? What is the breakdown of the population by race in Brunswick, right? It is approximately 69% Caucasian and 26% African American. Now, if we were to just break that down by percentage wise, that should give us approximately 8 white jurors and approximately 4 black jurors, right? You would even think that that would within itself be considered very equitable, right? When we're looking at impartial, hey, let's try to really make the jurors reflect the community in which this crime actually occurred. 8 white, 4 black. I think even with that logic, people would have been okay with that, right? But that's the problem. The problem was there was no intentionality in really keeping race as a factor. Why is this important? Well, the victim is killed. The victim doesn't have representation. The victim was black. A lot of people are saying that, listen, we don't want to make this about race. We want to focus about the evidence. Okay, well, what if the evidence is race, right? What if race plays a part of the evidence? So then you can't ignore it. You have to address the racial part. Why? Because it could speak to a lot of other issues. It can actually highlight a lot of the decisions that were made, right? If race is a factor, then race then becomes part of the evidence, right? A lot of things come into play. There's another challenge, and I just learned about this. It's called peremptory challenges. Did I say that right? Another issue is the peremptory challenges. What is a peremptory challenge? This gives an attorney the ability to remove jurors out of the selection process for no given reason at all, right? So it's the technique that they use. As long as they're removing jurors and it has nothing to do with their race or gender, they get a pass. They can remove them completely out of the fold. Now, how is this a problem? Well, this gives me an opportunity to take out whoever I want, to narrow the pool down. So this is within their power to do so. This is why the judge is so limited. Why? Let me remind you guys, the judge is simply a referee, right? The judge's job is to make sure people are coloring within the lines and following the law, not overstepping, right? That's the judge's only job. I mean, technically, right? Technically, but the judge is the referee. Even the judge made reference and stated that the act of removing pretty much 99% of the black jurors was a sign of intentional discrimination. So what does that mean? It means that the judge recognizes, like, hey, this doesn't look right. This looked intentional, which I agree. I believe it was intentional. Mind you guys, you have to understand, these are the tactics. These are the games that attorneys play. This is like Game of Thrones. This is like Game of Courts, right? These guys are word wizards. This is their turf, okay? They know the loopholes. They know the way around situations. What did they do, right? They actually used the law into their advantage, right? So let me read it and explain to you guys how it works. For those who are unfamiliar, even myself was unfamiliar. Mind you, I show up, the jury's already ready to go, and I'm over here providing my testimony. So here it is. During jury selection, defense and prosecution each get a certain number of peremptory challenges or strikes that lets them dismiss potential jurors without explanation. All right. Lawyers can also ask to remove a prospective juror for cause, right? If they believe that person is biased or lacks the ability to serve. All right, keep that in mind. Though they must explain the potential bias. Keep that in mind again, right? Now, let's look at this. This gives attorneys an opportunity to remove bias, okay? That's a very slippery slope though, because the issue is you have people from the black community who are angry, okay? They're angry. And I believe that the attorneys use that anger in order to find bias, right? That's what the workaround was. This is what I'm telling you guys. It always has to be facts over feelings. You have to be willing to take yourself out of it, take the emotions out of it, and look at something objectively. Because that's what they're looking for. Can you judge this without bias? Again, let me remind you, the Sixth Amendment is for the defendant, right? The prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that I am guilty, all right? So what does that mean? That means the Sixth Amendment is for the protection of the defendant, you guys. So these laws are there to protect them. What does that mean? That means they need to be given a fair chance. These are our laws. What does it mean by a fair chance? It means that they have to have an impartial jury. There's no way around it. And just because a juror is white does not mean they cannot be impartial. This is why we have to dive deeper, right? We have to look at a person's heart. We have to look at their mind. What is going on in there to help us identify whether or not they can actually look at this case, right? And filter this case through the eyes of evidence and truth and not from their feelings. We know that's going to be difficult to do. Why? Because we're all human. Okay, we're all human. And they can remove whoever they want as long as they can prove that it wasn't racially motivated, that it's not because of their race, right? And so this is a tactic that they use. I've read all the statements of all the last 65 jurors that they pulled from. I've read them all, and you'll be interested. You would be so blown away by the questions that they ask. And a lot of the questions were very sneaky. You guys, these are attorneys. This is what they do. They're crafty, right? They're very, very crafty. And they might be already onto you before you even realize it. They are masters of wordplay. And they know how to manipulate a person's emotions. So if you are giving them the emotion, they're going to manipulate it. This is what they do. Listen, I've had good and bad experiences on the stands with attorneys, and I'm telling you right now, they will drag you through the mud for the sake of their client. And I'm gonna tell you now, and as soon as you get off the stand, I'm gonna tell you, I've had extremely bad experiences on the stand with an attorney to the point where you wanna reach over and grab them by the throat. Like, that's how bad it gets. And then you get off the stand and it's like their client is found guilty, right? And they'll walk up to you and be like, hey, Officer Daly, you did a really good job up there. I'm thinking to myself like, what? Sir, I hate you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not personal with them, but they're able to get into character, man, when they get up there. So I can only imagine how this examination went when the attorneys were trying to pick the juror, when they were striking them out. The type of questions they were asking them, you know? Like they asked one question, hey, jurors, raise your hand if you believe that the police actually treat black people worse than they treat white people. Raise your hand, right? These are questions that they're asking them to weed them out. Or they'll ask a black juror, hey, do you participate in Black Lives Matter? Like, what's your affiliation, right? Have you donated money? Have you done this? Have you done that? They're asking these questions. Do you know anyone? Do you have any white friends, right? Why is that an important question, right? How do you feel about white people in this country? Do you feel like racism is a reason why black people are not succeeding? Are black people oppressed? Right? Like, these are questions that they ask. They're asking these questions to see how you respond. And some of them I don't agree with. And again, I'm not an attorney, right? So maybe they're seeing something that I can't see, but I truly believe they could have made a better effort to ensure that the jury, the 12 jurors, reflected the community, period. And some of those that I read, I felt like that they were being very petty and very intentional on striking them out, because you can just hear the type of questions and the reasoning that they gave. Though they did not touch on race, they did not like the fact that that particular black juror was passionate about the incident, right? But then again, I can also understand why they feel like that juror could be impartial, right? And sometimes they're looking at that emotion, right? Are they going to judge with their emotion, or are they going to judge by the evidence? So listen, I don't agree with it. I don't think the jury pool represents a reflection of the community. I think that the attorneys intentionally removed as many as possible. And this is something that's a common practice throughout history. They have been doing this, and it works. It has worked in their favor. But I will say this, though. I have faith. I have faith in the people who are on that jury stand. I do. I have faith in the hearts of these people. Why? Because, at the end of the day, we all know right from wrong. The evidence is so strong, right? There's so many things that are missing in this case. There is so much misinformation, disinformation that was really put out, right? And there's information that was never put out that should have been put out, that would have changed the optics, would have also changed the minds of a lot of people, right? But it was purposely wasn't done. They waited for everyone to get saturated with the lies before this trial started. And here we are, right? But if you follow the trial, you start hearing the evidence, what they have, you hear what they stated, the McMichael stated they did, or what they said, and you're just like, come on, you guys. Like, this is a no-brainer. You cannot do that, right? And nowhere is that acceptable. And again, they're forgetting that the victim was an African-American male. And no one is saying 6 and 6, but God, dog, come on. Nah, that's unacceptable. And there's nowhere where that can be justified. But again, the Sixth Amendment, again, is for the protection of the defendant. All right? So we have to keep that in mind, you guys. That is the law, right? That is the law. They're trying to make it impartial for them because they are in defense of their freedom. Anyways, you guys, that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you think. Do you believe that white people can be impartial? Does a person have to be the same color of you to be able to give an impartial judgment? I think that's the question. So anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Let's have a discussion. And with that, I'm out. Good night. God bless.